Hi there, my name is Kay Roland, and if you're watching this video, you're probably at the Sportsman's Banquet. I want to thank you for coming. Today, we're getting on the boat, and I'm going to show you 3 different setups. One for spring, one for summer, and one for fall salmon. If you're in Eastern Washington and you're just getting started in salmon fishing, I think you'll really enjoy this video. I've got Bob Bunker as deckhand today and Rachel Matthews behind the camera. Let's get to it.
Probably good, huh?
All 3 of these rods are going to be Guide Select Classics from Akuma, and I've got the low profile cold water reels also from Akuma. This is a 40-pound braided line. You could just find whatever you like, and they work for spring, summer, and fall. Okay, so the first setup we're going to show you today is for spring salmon. Typically, you're going to be anchored up in 5 to 15 feet of water, depending on where you are. Normally in the month of May, you can hit up the Snake River and catch these fish. That's a great place to catch them off the bank as well with a similar setup. But what we're going to be using today is a Brad's Quick Fish K15. It's a great beginner setup. You take it, you rig it up with about 4 to 5 feet of a leader, and then you wrap that thing in tuna. But what we're gonna show you right now is what that bait actually looks like in the water. When I'm letting the line out, I just lift my rod tip up, then I put my thumb brake on, and I slowly will drop that back. Typically, you wanna go 80 to 120 feet based off of the location that you're in. As soon as you click that bail and put that rod in the rod holder, you're gonna notice it's gonna start the action. And you can see this thing digs and it dives. What it emulates is a wounded herring, which is exactly what these fish are used to feeding on. If you're not getting enough action, you're not in enough current. You need to see that action on your rod tip, just like this. When you're reeling these salmon in, it's important to keep that rod tip low. That helps keep the hook in its mouth. Also, take your time with it. That salmon's gonna come in when it wants to. Don't try and force it in, or you might pop the hook out of its mouth. All right, so for this next setup, I wanna show you the summer setup. This is gonna help you catch sockeye and those bycatches of those summer kings, which are really, really fun to catch. Typically, you're anchored up off of a point somewhere, again, in 5 to 20 feet of water, depending on the flow of the river. What I like to do to locate these spots is just find a point where there's a seam break or a current seam in the water, and I like to put the nose of my boat to split the difference on that. So I've got some inside that seam, and I've got some baits running outside that seam, and some right in the middle of that seam. This is such a fun fishery because you can fish right here off the boat, or you can fish from the bank. In late June and all of July, you'll see Columbia Point just packed with sockeye fishermen on the bank, and most of the time they're doing just as good as guys on the boat. Whether you're on the shore or whether you're in the boat, it doesn't matter. You're gonna want to get a good variety of spinners like this. I get these ones from raisingkingcustoms.com, and I just throw a coon shrimp on that first hook, and these make for an easy setup for sockeye and summer kings. I'm gonna use the same rod and reel setup. I've got that 30 to 40 pound braid. This time we're gonna set it up a little bit differently. We've got what's called a spreader. You can get these at Tri-City Tackle. It just makes it so much easier to keep your gear apart so it doesn't get tangled up. And it's got these little umbrellas to keep the weeds off of your main line. So what we're gonna use here on the business end of things, we've got this bumper. It's about 12 to 18 inches. And typically we use a 4 to 8 ounce lead on the end of it just to get it down on the bottom, and then the rest of it is gonna fish just that 1 to 2 feet off the bottom. One of my go-to spinners is this John Murphy blade, named after a local fisherman who is great at sockeye salmon fishing. I'll take a coon shrimp and throw it on the front hook of this, put some scent on. let it back about 30 feet, and we're ready to go. Now let's show you what this bait looks like in the water. This is what a basic salmon spinner looks like in the water. It's got a lot of action to it. You've got some scent on there. You've got your coon shrimp. You've got it back about 30 feet. Put it in the rod holder. Now you wait. All right, so this last setup we're gonna show you today is the fall Chinook setup. It's a really fun fishery. For this setup, you're going to want to attach a sliding weight system to your main line and then a bead chain. This eliminates any twist in the main line and it allows everything else to rotate like it's supposed to. Then you've got a flasher separated by a 20-inch bumper and then about a 30-inch leader or so down to a Brad's super bait that you can load with tuna and different scents. What this is a clamshell bait. You take this surgical tubing off, you open it up, and you put your tuna in there. I personally like to add scent, but some guys just throw tuna right in the box and call it a day. Once you're all rigged up and you've got your tuna in, this is really a team effort type of thing, so you want to make sure you're fishing with somebody. I've got Bob here on the spool, and then I'm gonna drop the bait in the water so we can see what it looks like. When you're dropping it in, get the bait first, the flasher next, and then the weight. This is why it's called the 360 flasher. It has a full revolution, which essentially attracts the fish to come close enough to see your bait. So a lot of guys will talk about their trolling speeds. 1.1, 1.3, 1.9, 2.1. I don't go based off of speed. I like to go based off of what's called the heartbeat of the rod. Right now, that thump on the rod is producing a revolution on that 360 flasher. It's going a little fast right now. So I would want to slow the boat down until that heartbeat of the rod is at about 1 beat per second. All right, so after you're done with your first pass, you're gonna wanna reel these things in. Have a buddy with you, make sure he can help you. These reels are great because they have line counters. Once I get up to about 7 feet or so, I'm gonna stop and just lift that rod tip straight up, and then my buddy's gonna catch that weight so it doesn't hit someone like a wrecking ball. He's gonna get that safely in the boat, and then we're gonna rebait, turn around, and start our troll again. All right, that's it. We've got one set up for spring, one for summer, and one for fall. Over the years, for my family and friends, we've had great memories out salmon fishing, memories of a lifetime. And if you're interested in getting into it, I hope that you'll find these tips helpful. And this year, make it your goal. Get out on the water, get some of these fish, and make some of those memories too.